Welcome to another episode of Behavior Solutions TV. We're going to have a conversation today about F.B.A.s, BIPs. But let's start with the F.B.A, Functional Behavior Assessment, because you have to have an F.B.A before you can do a BIP. What is an F.B.A? How do you do it? A Functional Behavior Assessment is basically you having data on a primary behavior of concern, and you've analyzed it to the point where you know why the student is doing the primary behavior of concern. And I just left a school with a team who had a student with several behaviors that they were concerned about. And so that often is a tough issue for school teams because there's so many behaviors that are an issue. And in a functional behavior assessment, you're trying to look at the primary behavior of concern. So I advised the team during this meeting, and I'm going to give you the same advice because I think it can be helpful to you. Oftentimes when you have a student with several challenging behaviors, there's so many things you want to talk about, so many things you want to address, particularly if you're meeting with the parents during the meeting. But this is the strategy that we use that I want to recommend you use. And that is that less is more. And allow the behaviors of concern to come out naturally. But what you would want to do is only the behavior that you have data on. Make that the focal point of the meeting. And I mean the primary behavior you have data on. Not the 5, 6, or 7 behaviors that you may have data on, or that may be a concern to you. So for example, if student attendance is a concern, have all the attendance data ready, and then make a focal point of the discussion. Hey, your son, your daughter has X amount of tardies. The school is concerned about it, and this is the average number of tardies that the student has a day. We want to reduce that, and we want to set a goal initially for it to only be this amount of tardies, and we want to gradually reduce that. And so let me tell you what happened during a meeting today where we had a discussion about a primary behavior of concern and a functional behavior assessment. The strategy was that we only talked about that behavior, and this is what ended up happening. When we presented that, it allowed the parents to ask more questions. And they asked, well, is this a concern? Is that a concern? And then the school team was able to respond, why, since you bring it up, actually, yes, this does happen. That does happen. But this is our primary behavior of concern, and this is why we feel that this is the most important behavior. Because before you do a functional behavior assessment, you have to get permission to take data to do a functional behavior assessment. So the students' parents have to be, or the students' guardians have to be very receptive and very trusting that you have the best interest of their child in mind. So you don't want to bombard them with a lot of data points on this behavior, that behavior. You just want to focus on the primary behavior of concern and say that, this is a concern, we want this to improve, and so this is what we want to do. We want to take data on this behavior, we want to track it over X amount of days or weeks, and then we want to come back and meet as a team and come up with a plan to address this and figure out why this is happening, because that is essentially what the functional behavior assessment is. Why is the behavior happening? So I know that there's several data points you can have, there's several discussion points you can have, but pick a primary behavior of concern. Now, if you want to know more about the nitty-gritty ins and outs of the data sheets you should use and all those things, then you can go to defiancetocompliance.com, and in our Defiance to Compliance 102 course, we delve into all of that. The functional behavior assessment, the replacement behavior, the reinforcement systems, 12-week reinforcement plan, when you should use this, when you should, we go through all those details. But initially, all you have to know is that you need to select a primary behavior of concern and have ABC data or very concrete, measurable data on that primary behavior of concern. So don't overwhelm the parents or yourselves with too much data. You just want to select one behavior. So I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any other comments, questions, type it in the comment section. You can shoot me an email at info@defiancetoCompliance.com. And I hope you found value from this video. Take care.